Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heavy play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heavy play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heavy play.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heavy play.
Go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heavy play.
Go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Go for two here. Go for two here.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two.
All right, we are live here on the day after Upset Sunday, which absolutely wild weekend of football. We already got people jumping on with us. The party at Kelly's house has started. Even though, I mean, they didn't have anything to celebrate because Oklahoma was off this week, and they kind of got boned around in the college football playoff, but they still have hope because some bad things happened this weekend. We're going to get to that a little bit later on. Before we jump around and say what we're going to be talking about today, why don't we check in with Kalen and Chad and see how they're living? I know Kalen's got a big smile on his face already.
I am feeling good today, boys. My golly, what a Sunday that was. A daylight savings time is throwing me off. I got to be honest. This was a wild Monday for me that way, but well, victory Monday felt good.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a big win, and we're not going to take anything away from it. We're definitely going to talk about the refs, even though I don't think that the refs are the reason that they won. But that was the most poorly officiated Sunday night football game maybe in NFL history. And we'll check in with Chad. Chad, how we feeling? How we doing? Notre Dame beat Navy.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You can laugh all you want there, redhead Longhorn.
No, hey, I made sure to watch the game because I was nervous for you.
I don't need to hear about out of your 4-4 Longhorns. Enough out of you.
Jeez. Let him.
Yeah,
let him have the
are you
Titans.
really? Yeah. I was going to until he came at me laughing at my Irish. It was a good weekend though. I'll take it. We were on a bye week with the Bucks. I think we needed it after what happened down in New Orleans and cost us that big parlay the week before. I was still pretty pissed off about that. So gave me a little week to relax there and got to watch some games yesterday. And I even gave Kalen some love on Twitter today, which I thought I would never do.
Hey,
And
you know
I
what?
felt
it's
it.
like
He
I
deserves
puked in
it
my
after all the
mouth.
shit we gave him. Yeah,
Like,
he
I puked
deserves
in my
it after
mouth
all
a
the
little
shit
bit.
we give him.
Right. Boys, it wasn't just you guys. I mean, going into that game, you saw what the analysts picked. There was only one guy on the NBC casting that picked the Titans, and the only reason he said he picked them was because everybody else picked the Rams, and he didn't want to be that guy too. So,
Well, yeah, yeah.
nobody was picking the Titans, man. Nobody.
Well, what? I mean, and we're gonna get to that game. Maybe we should bounce around and just say the topics and then jump in because we do have a guest coming on to join us at 7:30. I don't want to steal the thunder from the time that we're gonna give you because we have a little bit of time for the AFC here. But yeah, I mean, today we're gonna talk about a little bit about the upsets. We're gonna count down to Monday Night Football because the boys are wearing the Color Rush jerseys tonight. Lots of AFC because it's wide open right now. The AFC has 11 teams, 500 or above. We're definitely going to talk college football because that's the only reason that Kelly comes on here to hear what we're going to say about the Oklahoma Sooners and, you know, how good are the Cardinals even without Kyler Murray. But before we dive into anything, we always got to make sure we thank our friends at CoolBet. Even though our CoolBet accounts took a hit this weekend, like a pretty good hit. I mean, today is got to be just kind of recovery day. She says it's not the only reason. That's okay. We love you anyway. Yeah. I mean, the CoolBet accounts took a little bit of a hit. We're gonna recover tonight. I feel pretty good about the Steelers tonight. I didn't lay any money on them because I don't need any, but I did have a little bet ticket that I threw to you guys. But let's jump in because if you were to tell me going into Sunday that I should have put together a ticket where the Cowboys, the Bills, the Raiders, and the Bengals were all losing, I feel like we'd be having a completely different conversation about what happened with CoolBet this weekend.
Yeah, they wouldn't like us as much. Right now, we're their favorite partner right now after what they did to us this weekend.
Yeah, it's not much of a give and take relationship this weekend.
Man, who took it worse, though? Those Cowboys took the worst, though, I think, right?
Oof.
That was bad.
You know what?
I mean, they were embarrassing until the fourth quarter, really. And I mean, Dak, you tell he was rusty. I mean, he's going to be okay. This is just a one-off for them, I think, right? Denver can have a potent defense when needed, it seems.
They moved the ball too easily, and I think, focusing on the Cowboys specifically, this Travion Diggs guy is boom or bust, man. It's either he's picking it off or he's getting pass interference.
Or getting dunked on. He got dunked onto the goal line too.
Yeah. I mean, this Patrick character definitely took these guys to school. I don't know what was going on with the Cowboys. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the game, especially when it got out of hand. But what a wild scenario on that block punt.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
As a player, instinct just takes over. And I guess that's a scenario that you would never practice, right? It's Leon Lett.
Yeah, that specific one, absolutely not. No. But I mean, the Cowboys themselves, like Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, if they just lean on these guys more, I think Dak, take the ball out of Dak's hand. I love Dak. He's my fantasy quarterback here. You got a two-headed beast, man. They should have leaned on those kids a little bit more throughout that game. I think that they were trying to air the ball out a little bit too much. I mean, they had to. They got down early, but you didn't really have to do that. I mean, you should have let the rust wear off of Dak. I think just two really good practices. He was really confident in that last press conference before the game, and I think he let it get to his head a little bit too much.
Well, I mean, definitely. He definitely didn't look like he was as sharp as he was. You know, it's very easy for us to sit here on Monday evening and say that Cooper Rush probably should have started. They probably should have let Dak get back, you know, like all of that. But none of those things are going to solve the next conversation on the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody's dropped a really ugly game this year, right? Like the, them losing to the Jags, the Titans losing to the Jets, and I think the Jets took out somebody else too, didn't they? It was an embarrassing team too, or took somebody really close to a loss anyway. Everybody's just having one of these really bad teams beating them this year.
Didn't the Jets beat you guys?
That's what I said. The Jets. I mean, that's
Oh,
the one that took
I-
us out.
No, I think it goes deeper than that for the Bills because I mean, really, and I'm not gonna like the Steelers beat the Bills, and I bragged about that. The Titans beat the Bills. Obviously, we credited you for the victory because that's a big one. But what have the Bills actually done this year to show us that they are? I mean, right now they've been coasting on namesake alone. We kind of thought Josh Allen had a shot at the MVP coming into the year. You know, they were the AFC darling favorites because everyone wanted to pick against the Chiefs, which at this point looks like it's the right play. And I mean, right now, you look at the Bills' offense; they can't run the ball. Everything is going through Josh Allen in the shotgun, and his receivers aren't doing the job, and he is not staying in the pocket. He's shook, and the Bills' defense can keep them into games, but when you give up 9 points to Jacksonville and you lose, something's got to change.
But listen, man, I don't know who Josh Allen pissed off before that game, but what kind of omen was hanging over his head that Josh Allen for the Jaguars was going to take him to town like that? Like something had to happen to him to make that.
Right.
Like, that's the first you lose to the Jags, and second you get taken out by a guy of your name.
He didn't pay the tab for dinner that week at the table. That's all it comes down to. When the O-line went out to eat, he didn't pick up the tab. It's that simple.
Honestly,
It's easy as something simple as that. I bet you he takes him out for lunch this week.
Well, he better take him out for dinner. I mean, lunch might not cut it. I mean, a couple Subway sandwiches aren't going to do the trick. You need to get these guys some big fat steaks so that they can jump in front of somebody. Because not only, I mean, the Bills losing to the Titans again, we're not going to bury them for that. But the Bills losing this game and really, really quietly, another AFC team is creeping up behind Buffalo there. And that's a quick teaser for about 5 minutes from now when we get KJ to come on here. But I don't know. I'm starting to lose a little. I'm not writing off the Bills, but I'm losing a little bit of faith in the Bills and their ability to score points.
I'm more
You can't
concerned with the
ask Josh
Patriots.
Allen to pass 50 times. Yeah.
The Patriots starting to win. That's a scary, scary situation. We've all seen how this story ends.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Patriots are going to win the AFC. I'm not going Norrie or something crazy like that. But it is there's a chance they could win the AFC East again.
Well, and if you guys remember from my preseason favorite or futures bets, I did pick the Patriots to win the division at plus 385. So just throwing that out there. I also picked the Falcons, so it's not like I get every single one of these things right. But well,
that was just for Nick, right?
You always remember the ones you get right. Never remember the ones you get wrong.
That's right. Actually, I think it was for Nick. I think I remember you mentioning that. I'm doing this for Nick specifically.
Yeah, I mean, we do give Nick a pretty hard time on here, and I mean, that guy's always been good to us since day one. But, I mean, I was more in love with the plus 900 number that was on the Falcons. But how about
Tom Brady doesn't blow a 28-3 lead. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
How about our guys in Vegas? Obviously, there's a million things going on in the offseason, but that was not a that was not a prepared football team. They were not ready to go. And I mean, now that they got G-Jacks there, it did show. And defensively, they weren't ready. Offensively, they looked like they ran the ball okay with Jacobs at points, but just no consistency in play calling, no consistency in overall play.
Well, there's been so many distractions lately. It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Like the John Gruden thing, that was one thing. That's bad enough. And yet they bounced back because obviously whatever was happening in the locker room, they were not okay with, and they bounced back. Losing a guy like Ruggs, well, that's just another thing. You're not getting full practices in. You're not getting these things done properly. There's media probably everywhere they go. And when your starting quarterback's taking media press conferences all day long, every day, sticking up for guys, his head's not in a football game. It's that simple. They can try to deny it all they want. They're supposed to be professionals. That stuff's still going to affect you.
Yeah, exactly. And you go on the road, that's actually supposed to be a blessing in disguise because you it's just you and just the guys, and you guys can have a chance to talk it out. But they had a chance to come back and take the game even after playing poorly, and those fucking son of a bitches made it so that we lost our super boost. So
Trap games are
they
real.
fucked us.
you know what, I'm not even gonna call that a trap game because I don't think that the Raiders are that good. And I
thought you were gonna say you don't think the Giants are that bad. I was gonna say you're finally on the train, huh?
No. Absolutely.
The Giants are
that bad. But when it comes down to it, I don't believe that heavily in the Raiders. I think that them and the next team that we're going to talk about before we bring on KJ here, they kind of shot out of the gate and they surprised some people. And all it took was a couple of schemes and a fix here and there, and it's just not there for you. So I mean, between the Raiders and the Bengals, they're both fucking frauds. Both frauds. I don't.
Why do you always got to pick on them Bengals? It's just a division hate, huh?
No.
Is that the team that you hate the most in the division? Because I don't hear you talk this much shit against the Ravens or the Browns, even the Browns.
No, I have no problem with the Browns because I know exactly who they are, and I have no problem with the Ravens because they at least are a real rivalry for the Steelers. But when it comes to the Bengals, they're just frauds, man. They think that they're good. They suck. They win 10, 11 games in the season and shit the bed in the playoffs. Like, when was the last time the Bengals won a playoff game? When was the last time they won anything significant?
I was going to ask when was the last time they made it to the playoffs. It's been a few years for that, too. Hasn't it?
Well, I mean,
I think Dalton got them there once.
Yeah. And I think Dalton took them there a couple of times, and so did Carson Palmer. But overall, like, I don't think that they've won an actual playoff game since the 90s. And it was probably the early 90s.
And it was Boomer.
Yeah, I mean, Boomer Esiason, who we grew up watching on CBS as an analyst, was the quarterback at the time. So that shows you how far back that goes. And I have no love for the Bengals. I love the people that thought, oh, they took down the Steelers. That must mean they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, no, they literally just won a regular season game in September, and no one gives a shit.
We were just told 1990 was the last time the Bengals won a playoff game.
Ooh,
there you go.
I was 5.
Yeah, I appreciate whoever came out with that stat. Yeah, man.
So they kind of sound like the way that I view the Jaguars. That's how you feel about the Bengals. They're just like the little are always going to be little brother. Even if they have one decent year that has some kind of noise, they're just always gonna be little brother after that.
Yeah, exactly. So if the Bengals are the Jaguars, then you might as well just call the Browns the Texans, and then you could call the Ravens the Colts. So if you need that frame of reference to know how I feel about the division, that's how it goes for me.
All right.
But Chad, I'd love to know how you feel about the Bengals before we bring KJ in here, because we're gonna get balls deep into the AFC.
The Bengals. Well, the fact they can't even get their team an indoor facility for the winter just shows how much they actually care about their team and players.
Yeah.
So they actually don't they don't even deserve to win.
Bunch of scumbags.
You are in Cincinnati. It's cold as shit. Your facilities are garbage. You're never going to get free agents for this reason. This is why everybody leaves after their rookie deals are done. And you're going to you win a couple games, you're going to win a couple years, and you're right back to where you were, starting all over again.
Yeah.
Until Paul Brown dies, the Bengals will do nothing.
We're gonna keep going here. We're counting down to the Steelers and Bears, but we're about to bring on our guest, KJ Kennamine, local legend. Everything London football runs through this man. So we're gonna bring him on because unfortunately for him, he's a Ravens fan. But we're gonna be friends with him anyway.
I think he's just a football fan, though. You get that man talking about any team, he gets hyped. Doesn't just have to be the Ravens.
KJ, what's going on, man?
What up, boys? What up, Shane? Chad, what's going on? Liam, Ziggy Dog.
KJ, could you, could you see? Yeah, you can see that.
I love it. That's a great wow. Nice. Nice. I like that.
You got a different purple on tonight, but we wanted to bring you in because you know what? Kaylin and I were battling a little bit last night about AFC North football. And when it comes down to AFC North football, outside of myself, and maybe I'll put you at the same spot, it's you and I for AFC North football, and then everyone else. So you could talk about your Ravens a little bit, but could you please explain to this man that the Bengals stink?
Yeah, they beat us a few weeks ago. It's about time. The Bengals, they were due to beat us. They put it on us a little bit. The Ravens are 18 guys injured or whatever it is on injured reserve, and I'm just not a big. I mean, the Bengals are obviously a lot better than they've been, but I just don't think that they've got what it takes. The last 2 weeks have proven that, I think. But they're a good and up and coming team, and I think our division is pretty tough. And the Titans, obviously are in first right now. The Ravens somehow are 6-2. I have no idea, guys. We should maybe be 2-6. I don't know the way but we're lucky right now that we pulled some out.
Well, what's crazy is you mentioned all the guys you got on IR. You guys are second in the AFC actually to injured or players on injured reserve, only to the Titans, and yet we are 1-2 in the division or the conference there. That's pretty crazy when you think about it, right? We like the fact that we have that many wins, man. Good coaching, and I don't even like Harbaugh, so I'm gonna have to give him a little bit of a heads up there.
Yeah, I mean, good coaching, but I think Lamar's really changed a lot of his game, and he's worked hard. I know Chad works with quarterbacks, and I think you can see the maturation in his game. However, man, did he play terrible the first half this week. He struggled, but I'll tell you, Shane, those Steelers are scaring the heck out of me. They're starting to put some wins together, and they've had the Ravens number over the last few years. So I'm definitely every game is like a struggle for me to not have a heart attack. My wife basically told me the other day, she said, "Look, what's going to happen. We're going to shit the bed in the first half, and then they'll come back and win in the end." And I'm like, okay, I guess I'd rather them win like they did against the Chargers a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. And the problem about the Steelers and the Ravens playing each other is the Steelers' weakness is the pass game. The Ravens' weakness is the pass defense. So it might be a low-scoring, just big running attack. But what about the Browns? Because I think that we saw something different, and Chad will probably pipe in because I know he's a Baker guy. That was a different Baker with one game without Odell, right?
Yeah, he's a play action quarterback. I've said this from day one. They've got the best running game. They've got the best coach that believes in the run. Stefanski's a run first guy, and they really build a nice play action game. And that's what Baker is. I mean, Baker's not going to beat you with 5. He's not going to beat you, throwing the ball consistently. But what he will do, and he is a leader. And I think saw that, with Beckham Lee and the guy's playing injured right now. I don't know how he's even playing, guys. I mean, he shouldn't be playing. And the guy's out there. He's earned my respect. I'm not a big, Baker fan. Another team. I mean, our division is ridiculously tough. And the Browns, the Ravens match up well with the Browns either. So I said to someone the other day, I'd be happy if the Ravens go, 6-11 because of all the injuries. And I mean that because really, I'm a realist. We really are lucky to be 6-2, and I hope we continue. But I think when you look at the Titans, you look at the they've got Peterson now, and you look at the Steelers and you look at the Browns. Those teams they're built to win when it gets cold, and it's going to be tough for the Ravens, I think, going forward. But I'll tell you, very impressed with Baker. Chad, I mean, I know you've coached quarterbacks. That's my assessment of him. But what a game he played this weekend.
Yeah, like to touch on what you're saying, like I've said, we and Shane have talked to this so many times, with Baker being that play action guy, plays a short to intermediate game so well, and it's what his strength is. And I think that was the big issue when you had a guy like Odell who's known to stretch the field. Those are throws that Baker actually just can't make, and that's not a shot at him. It's just some guys' arms don't have that strength. And can he throw the ball 55 yards? Yes, every quarterback in the NFL can. But can he throw it 55 yards in the time it needs to get there? And that's where his problem is. And so having a guy like Odell, where he literally just wants the ball, eats the ball, wants to make plays, of course you're going to have that friction in there. And the shit that his dad pulled 2 weeks ago, or whatever, that was such a Bush League thing that what he did. And like, if I was Odell, I'd be embarrassed first off. Like that, like everybody rips on the Mahomes family for that stuff. Then you have this guy's dad going out and doing this stuff. It's embarrassing. You should be happy in the NFL. Like, you live the life that you have because of your son. And then you go and you put him out in a spot like that. And all you're doing is hurting him from going anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you don't think that's going to be in every interview process going forward? because every
Yeah.
team's going to bring that up. It
Yeah,
happened to
and-
Brent Grimes with his wife, right? Like he lost his job and he was a Pro Bowl corner because his wife got involved.
Yeah, it just, people need to learn. And that, we dealing with youth football, and I'm sure you've seen it even with the Beefeaters. I mean, parents are great, but they need to, there's a place for them to not be involved. And I think the problem right now, like somebody said that the Ravens are looking at Odell Beckham. I'm like, no, we don't want him because Bateman's got to develop. And you know what I mean? Why would we go and do something like that? It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't fit our scheme, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So I think, hopefully Odell can do it with a team that throws the ball, Chad. But I heard some people say that Baker's not a. I mean, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's fool's gold to say something like that. The kid's pretty darn good, and and we saw it yesterday, clear as day.
When it comes to actually throwing the ball, like Baker's probably the second best quarterback in the league, the division.
Yeah.
Like Ben for sure, and then I don't even know if Lamar Jackson counts for throwing, but
He's getting better. He's getting better.
Hey, the way that he plays is tough to defend, and I have no problem with it. But it's been proven, like you said, to not win in cold weather games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that are kind of mashed up here in the AFC, and I mentioned it just before he came on. There's 11 of the 16 teams in the AFC are 500 or better, and that's not even including the Colts, who are 4-5 right now. So let's try and sort through this mess and get muddy here and figure out what teams are in and what teams are out. Because right now, the wild card teams are the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Patriots. And on the outside looking in, you have teams like the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Browns. I don't even know how to sort through this mess. So we're hoping you can give us a hand.
Yeah, I think of all those teams that you talk. I mean, I can't believe when you say that those teams are out. If the playoffs started today, it's unbelievable because, I mean, Mahomes, the Browns. These are teams that are. I mean, you don't want them to get in. Indianapolis is another team. I mean, again, they should have won that game if they didn't lose those 3 DBs. Yes, Lamar had a great game, and don't get me wrong, I'm happier than anyone to see him throw for 440 yards. But let's be real. 3 DBs got hurt in that ball game, and it is what it is. I mean, the true people that understand football know that. I mean, that's a toss up right now. I mean, all those teams could be in, and 2 of the 3 teams that are in right now could be out, and that's just the way it is. I mean, look at Buffalo. I mean, they lost to Jacksonville, and everyone's ready to jump ship on them. There's no way. Buffalo's Allen's the most young, talented quarterback, like Mahomes. Mahomes struggling right now, but Allen's, by far someone very special. I was, I think I came on your show last year, and I wasn't a big fan of Allen. He turned the ball over. He's not a guy, but he's worked hard, and he's proven me wrong. And I love it when guys prove me wrong. And it's going to be a crazy crapshoot at the end. But I think, again, a team like the Steelers, good defense, good run game. This Najee Harris is special, guys. I mean, I got to tell you, I mean, I'm not sure why he's not gone off yet. Maybe it's because he's young. But I'm going to tell you, that kid was the pick of the draft, I think. Really believe in him. And I think the AFC is just going to be so fun to watch this year, guys. And the Titans, I mean, they beat the Rams last night. I mean, who would have thought they'd go in and beat, and they didn't just beat the Rams, guys. They beat the shit out of the Rams last night, So
Now, do you have any, and Kayla, we're going to talk about this probably a little bit at length, but do you have any concerns over the Titans offense right now? Because their defense definitely controlled the ball. They controlled the game. But when it came to Adrian Peterson running the ball, he was running on his tippy toes straight up in the air. And Jeremy McNichols seemed like he has a little bit of talent, but for some reason they're not willing to use him outside of third down. And I'm not sure that Tannehill's the guy that can throw people open without a little bit of a play action threat. That's just kind of the offense that they're running. But is there any concerns right now that this is going to be something that holds them back?
I mean, I think Peterson will find out. I mean, that was one game. We'll see where he's at in a few weeks. Again, you look at the Ravens; they went and got these veterans, right? And you get them because they have experience, and you go with the older guys. I think on the offensive side of the football, though, what the Titans have proven is they consistently made the playoffs. They consistently beat the Chiefs in the regular season. Can they do it in the playoffs? know. It's a question that's it's probably the offense that's held them back when you really think about it. But that defense is just vicious when they want to be. And I'll tell you, they're not a team that you want to play. Now, again, the Steelers, they tend to have the Titans, number. I would say over the last, for a long time now. But I think the Titans, yeah, I do think that they're going to be a force, and I think their division is one of the reasons they're going to win that division, unless Indianapolis can make a push. But I'll tell you, man, there's a team that I'm very worried about is Indianapolis. I think Frank Reich is one of the best coaches, and I think that they could be very dangerous. They got to get in though, and like you guys said, it's just a crapshoot right now.
They got to start stacking wins to try and get in. But Kalen, I know that you're feeling super biased right now, and I know that you're feeling really triggered by what I just said. So why don't you tell me how you feel about what I said, and am I off? Am I off base?
So here's what I'm going to say. We went up against one of the toughest defenses in the NFL and toughest front fours for sure. And we had Bobby Hart at left tackle, which we run left. Like that is our strong side, is running left. We have Bobby Hart playing left tackle, who's a journeyman, who's been on the practice squad off and on with our team over the last 6 weeks. And then we had at right guard, we had Aaron Brewer, who actually had an okay game, but he's not Nate Davis. So, and Adrian Peterson coming off of four days practice with a new squad, being able to be brought up to play already. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what I saw out of the offense from AP and from the offensive line. It's going to get better. What I loved seeing was Julio finally getting involved when he's out there playing. He got more touches or more targets than AJ finally. On defense, Shane, I love my analytics, right? I love my PFF, right? The two highest graded safeties in the NFL right now, Amani Hooker and Kevin Byers.
That Byard interception was special. That was something.
Beautiful. It reminded me a lot of the pick he actually had on Baker 3 years ago, which is the same thing. He just floated and baited underneath. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Monty Hooker, he's been playing fantastic. When you have two safeties like that you can trust deep and also come up and play the run like they have been, that's going to help your defense. We have the second, or tied for the first most sacks in the league, and we have the third highest pressure rate in the league. That's something good. That means that, and we're not even playing with Christian Fulton. He's been gone for the last 4 weeks.
So you said something right there, Kalen, that explains exactly what you do. You have the most pressure. You have third best pressure in the league, and they're top of the league in sacks. Right there, as KJ knows, that makes quarterbacks' days a living hell. I don't care if you're Matt Stafford and MVP, or if you're Trevor Lawrence on a horrible Jacksonville team. I don't care who you are. If you're going to pressure on the quarterback, that changes the whole game defensively. Matt Stafford probably was going to win the MVP outside of Tom Brady right now. They would be the two favorites. And he looked like he was still playing in Detroit last night. He looked scared after the first couple series. He saw, I wouldn't say he saw ghosts, but that game definitely up his eyes, and he wasn't okay. And he looked like he was back in the day in Detroit. It's horrible. But when you can get pressure for those guys, it's going to make your safety. I'm not nothing to knock on your safeties, but it's going to make their jobs a whole lot easier. And you can take chances knowing that when the pressure's right there in the quarterback's face, because he has to rush a decision.
Mm-hmm. You get a quarterback off the spot, and that's what's going to happen. And you look, I could not believe, guys, Stafford, like you said, but I'll tell you, Tom Brady, the season he's had, you can't even write this stuff. It's unbelievable what this guy's doing. However, the Saints have his number in the regular season, so it's really weird. You just don't know who's going to emerge this year. So it's unbelievable. It's a great season of football.
Yeah.
And Shane,
go ahead.
I was for 2.5 years, you've heard me talk about Big Jeff Simmons. You got to see him last night play. What do you think, man? He's coming on, right?
Well, yeah. and you start to look back at like old draft picks, and it was 3 years ago, right? Is that what you're saying? Like he's been in season 3. So he had to sit out his entire rookie year due to an injury, which is probably why he slipped. But how smart does Tennessee look at this point, right?
Yeah, man, amazing. And he's a captain. He's a captain. And he's not just a captain to wear the seat. You should, on the sidelines, he is in people's ears. And he's talking to the coaches like he's a good player, man. And I hope they keep him around. It's funny he's wearing 98 because last night he played better than 99, man. He certainly did. Yeah. And that's saying a lot because Aaron Donald's one of my favorite players in the NFL, bro.
Yeah.
I hope Aaron Donald listens to our show and he just abuses you guys the next time he sees you.
Yeah. Well, the Titans look great. That guy's got a heavy motor. before we let KJ go back, first of all, we appreciate you taking your time for us, KJ. We know you're a busy guy. I want to know, there's 7 teams right now that are slotted in for the AFC playoffs. I want to know just one team of those 7 that you guys feel like is going to fall off, that they're going to fall out of the grace.
I think for me,
I can run
think the
through them
Bills-
for you guys if you need it, unless everyone knows it. Everyone probably knows who they are.
I think the Bills actually have I think the Chiefs, for some reason, I still can't not believe in the Chiefs. I still think that they can fix their woes. And I don't know what's wrong with Patrick, but it's Patrick Mahomes, guys. He's going to be okay, I feel. But the Bills have a very tough schedule down the stretch. They still got to play the Pats again, too, I believe, right? So that really could be the determining factor right there. I still think the Chiefs can make it. So that's who I think has the if I had to pick one, I think the Bills might falter.
Okay.
I hate to say it, guys, but I'm gonna have to go with my team. I love the Ravens. And listen, if they make it, I'll be the happiest guy in the world. But we have to play Cleveland twice, Pittsburgh twice, the Bengals again, and we're 6-2, and that's great. I just think we're one injury away from and we've had a lot of injuries. But I mean, if Lamar gets banged up, he has not played well the last 3 weeks. I mean, I'm sure you guys know he's played good. And he's obviously he's a phenomenal player, and he's in the running somewhat for the MVP. But I think for me, it's the Ravens. And I think the team that I think, because of the division, I go back to the division, is Indianapolis. I think if they get in, they now the Ravens beat them, so that's huge. But I still think Indianapolis could be that dark horse team that could get in.
Okay. Chad, where are you leaning?
I'm going to piss off our good friend Ricky and James. I think it's going to be the Raiders.
Ooh.
I think just everything that's going on there, it's going to be tough to rebound from that. And I don't know the last time Derek Carr played a full season. So with the chaos that's happened there and just the way history goes, it's going to say that he's at least going to miss a couple weeks. And he's the one thing holding that team together. And if he goes out for even like 2 weeks, if he's out for 2 games, I don't see them winning those 2 games. They're already in a division with a really talented Chargers team. I'm not going to say San Diego this time. I caught myself. And at the end of the day, like, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and they're struggling right now on offense. They can't stop anybody on defense, but you can't count them out yet. And so I think a team like that, and I think to the Raiders are the team I'm really scared about if they can go forward.
Right. Yeah, and I'm going to stay in the same division as Chad, and I'm going to say that the team formerly known as the Whale's Vagina is going to miss the playoffs, and that's the Chargers. Definitely, Justin Herbert he's outstanding. He's putting all the statistics on the board. I don't believe that they practice run defense in LA, which is kind of weird because they actually brought in a defensive coordinator, a really, really good one. And I'm not sure that the offense is going to be able to carry them. Look at the last couple of weeks. They shot out of the cannon at the beginning of the season. Last couple of weeks, they've kind of come back down to earth a little bit. Coming off of a victory in Philly, it's not an easy place to win, but that's an easy team that you should have beat down. And to have to win on a last-second field goal, and I know there's no style points in the NFL. We save that for the college game. But to me, I'm going to say that the Chargers miss out. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it or not, but I always come back to this guy. It's like the 5th week in a row, guys. So Daniel Sorensen saw the field again yesterday. He's the money backer. What is going on? Why is he the money backer?
No, he shit the bed anyway. He was garbage, and
He got burned bad.
Yeah. We don't want to. KJ, we appreciate you coming on, man. We appreciate you taking your time. We are currently planning our 100th episode, and there is no possible chance that you're not on it. Just so you know.
Thank you, guys. Hey, all the best. You guys are my favorites. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Have a great
Thanks,
one.
KJ, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Okay, well, that guy is just a wealth of football knowledge. If we had him on here for the whole thing, we'd probably stay on for 3 hours. So, yeah, I mean, what you're saying about the Chiefs, yeah, I don't know what they're doing defensively, but let's talk about a team that was also missing their starting quarterback. We're talking no Kyler Murray. We're talking about no D-Hop. And the second coming of JC, James Conner, goes ahead and scores 3 touchdowns. And that guy was untouchable. And for some reason, Colt McCoy was out. Yeah, he leads the league in touchdown. He's tied with Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah.
So, what? Obviously, that says a lot about the Cardinals. And, Chad was a year behind on the pick. But, we'll still give it to him because he called the Cardinals a really good team. And naturally, it seems like they're on a collision course with the bye week. But I want to focus on the 49ers because how bad are the fucking 49ers?
Yeah.
Think of let's eliminate the Super Bowl year, and why is Kyle Shanahan not fired?
I missed what I had just stepped out of the room, but I came back at that very end of the highlight. What happened between Josh Norman and Cliff Kingsbury? Did he get
I didn't see it.
Did he get in
No,
Cliff's face? Because I saw Norman got benched, so he got called for a personal foul, I believe, right before that. And then when I came back, he was up in Cliff's face, like yelling at him, and then I don't think he saw the field the rest of the game.
But I think Kelly's a little bit upset that Kyler didn't play because she needs to hear all the Oklahoma knowledge possible. But Kelly, I promise you, we are getting into college football. We blocked out an entire spot for it. We just do it at the end. That way, you can't leave halfway through the show.
It's all about strategy.
Go ahead, Kale.
But Arizona, what a special team, right? Like they're well coached. Clearly, this is a team that can continue chugging. Now they haven't really leaned on the run game. They've had a 2-headed monster down there, but they really lent. They didn't even have Nuck Hopkins, man, or AJ Green, right? So
yeah,
they were really, really down and out yesterday. Defense showed up.
Edmonds got hurt halfway through the game too.
Was it even halfway? I don't think he made it halfway. It might have been like in the very end of the first quarter or something. So like, they were just hobbled the whole game. And Colt McCoy, listen, I love him. He's a Texas Longhorn, right? But he is what he is, right? And he still played okay yesterday too.
I wonder how
the guy went 22 for 26.
That's what I mean.
I wonder how do our friends
nice.
in Oklahoma feel about Colt McCoy? We'll see how they feel about Colt McCoy.
Yeah, you're gonna be castrated.
Listen, we don't really. I shouldn't have brought up Colt's college time because that was a really sad ending. He would have had it. Come on.
Yeah.
What's she saying now?
She just says you suck at football.
Yeah.
Oh. He made a national championship. He just got injured, man.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Colt McCoy had a really good college career. And a lot of people would say that he didn't have a great NFL career, but the guy's been bouncing around for 12 years, so he's doing something correct. And that's all you can really ask.
Yeah, if you can stay in the league for that long, you're a good quarterback. It's that simple.
You're either a good quarterback or you're really good in the quarterback room. But either way, you're a valuable guy that's making $5 million a year probably.
He's making a little bit more than me, so he's doing all right for himself.
Would you guys take $5 million a year to live in a different city over the next 12 years and just teach younger quarterbacks like how to read defenses?
Just because I'm a team guy, I would do it for $1 million. Just because I'm a team guy.
Oh, you're a good guy.
Yeah.
You got to throw in that TB12 jersey.
Yeah. And 1 Bitcoin.
I got the original TB12 on my wall right now. That's Terry Bradshaw for anybody asking.
That guy should be canceled any day of the week.
Yeah, that guy's the shit. But yeah, I mean, so back to 49ers. It seems like they should be loaded on offense. I guess they've lost a few guys in the run game. But you got George Kittle. Ayuk looked good. Debo has had a really good year. But is it time to start pointing the blame towards Kyle Shanahan?
I think it's time that Jimmy takes a bench, and you have to see what you have. I'm a fan of Jimmy, and I think he's going to find a job next year.
Yep.
But right now, that team is nowhere near where it needs to be. I think they fucked up taking a quarterback at 3rd overall, especially the quarterback they did take too, which I think that does not help the situation. That's a conversation for a different day, though. But given the state of where they are, they have to play him. You have to see what you have. You have to get them reps. You're not making the playoffs. The season's a wash. You might as well get him experience now because you know Jimmy's not back next year anyways. So what are you gaining by keeping him on the bench some more? Might as well put him out
Well, I
there.
think he's
let him
banged
get-
up. He's
let-
banged up right now, right?
Is he? I thought he was okay. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and watch any 49ers games.
Yeah,
But-
they didn't dress him, but that could be many different reasons.
But at that time, you just gotta let it see. I guess when he is healthy, put him back out there though, and roll it, and let him make his mistakes now, and then you bounce back next year and come in with him.
So Kelly says that they teach quarterbacks how to play quarterback at Oklahoma, and I'm just wondering when Spencer Rattler is going to take the class. But she said it. Go ahead.
So Kyle Shanahan, he's known to be a running offense. The guy has always had a stable of running backs. He ran it 8 times yesterday. 8 times, 4.5-yard average. That's actually not bad. Why did he stop? Why has he stopped? He's got Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 30-plus times a game all the time, and that's not how you're going to win. Jimmy wasn't
Not the
brought there
recipe.
to throw that, right? This guy was designed to be Tom Brady of Tampa Bay, not what Tom Brady's doing down here in Tampa Bay right now, but Tom Brady in New England, sorry. That's what he was brought over there to do, was to be precise when needed, to live off the play action, and how the defense. They had a stacked defense for years. They still
Did
have
you
a
just
really
call Tom Brady a game manager?
Hey, listen, Tom Brady wasn't asked to do an awful lot in New England. Okay, there was a lot of people around him, a lot of good defenses around him. I
You're
know
not
people
telling me
that-
they had a good team.
What, every year that
Stop
they won,
it.
they didn't have a good team. It was always on Tom.
Not on offense. Their offense was horrible. Those players.
That's why he wasn't asked to do much. That's what I'm saying. Right
Stop
now,
it.
he's asked.
So
to
one
do
year he
with
had
this
50 touchdown passes, right?
that was the one outlier year we almost broke a record with Randy Moss, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. But what I'm saying is that how many times did we see Tom Brady throw it for 35 plus times in a game? They didn't often ask him to do that, right? And if it was, there was a hell of a lot of screens involved. They haven't even used that offense in their offense over in San Francisco, and I think that's what's really holding them back. They've totally walked away from a Shanahan offense.
Before Chad murders you, I'm going to give you 2 minutes just to talk about your Titans. Because
2 minutes?
I had it. You have 2 more minutes to talk about your Titans, and then we're going to get into college football. You can go over 2 minutes if you need to, though. But
What do you want?
I
What
wa-
about my Titans?
I have it down here that we need to go over Sunday Night Football and says, give Kalen a chance to talk, is what I wrote down.
Oh,
And we won't interrupt you.
I want you. Listen, this is an opportunity for you guys to tell me what you saw in the game, because I've been preaching this shit for 7 weeks. 1 week we had a prime time, but you guys don't go out of your way to watch Titans games. Let's be realistic, and I understand.
I
That's
don't
true.
think anybody
That's
does.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I did watch. I watched the whole game. I even watched it down to like the bitter end. It was all. Number one thing that I noticed is they are not going to have a run game anymore, and that is not because they are incapable of a run game, but they will not put Jeremy McNichols in the situations because they don't want him to be tired for potential passing situations. That's a mistake in my opinion. Deontay Foreman didn't even know he was still in the league. He looked like he was your second most talented running back. And then there was the ball boy, and then there was the water boy, and then there was Adrian Peterson standing up running into the line.
Easy. Again, we had a really banged up line. He only had 4 days. I still think there's lots of opportunity.
It's about him standing up to run into the line. Like Adrian Peter. So you saw the touchdown at the end.
Where he jumped into the line. It was really, really strange.
But that's the Adrian Peterson that you would expect. A little bit more aggressive. Until that point, he was very timid and very straight up and down. Far too easy to tackle. That's not the guy that you're thinking. That's not even the guy that played for Detroit last year.
No, actually, and you wanted to talk about the referees last night. What your thoughts were on them? Because that was even the announcers, man. When you have the announcers calling you out and saying this isn't the best ref game that they've watched, that's pathetic.
Well, first of all, they made up a rule halfway through the game. So
which was that one? Where they took away the personal foul?
No. So
okay.
that was another one. But when there's a personal foul on a kickoff, it goes back to the original spot, which is a re-kick. So the only outcome that you're allowed is for them to accept the penalty and kick it from the 50. They gave it to the Rams on the 12.5-yard line. That's not a rule. You just made that up. You made up a spot. And that's not the reason that they lost. But how absurd is it that in this day and age for technology, when they tried to spot the ball on the 12.5-yard line, that somebody from New York wasn't like, hey, you guys are fucking dumb. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like
And-
I was laying on my couch like that penalty is that's not right. That's not the thing.
And even when they brought the guy in, there's special analyst that comes in and talks about it. He's like, that I don't know what happened there. It doesn't make sense, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what about the roughing the passer? I mean, I'll even admit that the push out of bounds, that was pathetic.
The whole thing was embarrassing. Like that guy, that main ref, I can't even think of his name right now. But
Bob Rogers, I think it was.
He found out that he got Sunday Night Football. He called his mom. He called his neighbors. He called every single person and said, "Yo, tune into NBC. You're gonna see my face a lot, whether they like it or not." The guy was calling holding plays on the last fucking play of the game. He's calling holding plays on the kneel downs. Like, buddy, cool it.
Yeah.
Enough with the shit. Let's get this fucking thing on the road.
Yeah. So now what we saw of them. So I'm going to obviously say the Titans they're looking pretty friggin' good. And I think they're going to get stronger. What does this mean for the Rams? Did the Rams just run into a really good team, or are people going to see the blueprint now to how to attack the Rams? There was a lot of pressure last night that the Tennessee was able to bring, and it was only with 3 and 4 man rushes. We're not doing anything crazy and unique by any means. So are other teams going to do this?
I'm gonna say, and I'll defer the question to Chad, but I'm gonna say I think that this was the best possible thing that happened to the Rams, and then I will let Chad take over.
No, I agree. They had to lose one, and they got beat up. They got slapped in the mouth. Matt Stafford definitely had his worst game of the year, and as crazy as it sounds, they only lost by a touchdown. That's the takeaway I got from it. And obviously, Derrick Henry wasn't playing. I think if he was, the score would have been significantly different because you guys were running the ball a lot better. But it shows that on their worst day, they're not actually completely out of a game by the scoreboard. So I think that's the takeaway from it. And I think they needed to lose to wake them up. Because unfortunately, it doesn't look in their division they're going to have any competition anyway. So they need to have these kind of games for when they get down to the playoffs and they have these real competitions, how it's going to go down. I'm still not worried for the Rams. I'm more worried about, as a Rams fan, I'd still be ecstatic. You're fine. Von Miller didn't play. He's going to come back. He's going to definitely help out that D-line. You're going to get a bit more pressure. And Matt Stafford had his off day. That's that simple.
The play calls were kind of tough, right? Like, you got to... Like, they seemed like they moved the ball when he was able to roll out of the pocket. Every time he was just straight dropbacks, it just didn't look right. I don't know. I mean, that might have just played into the hands of the Tennessee defense, but
now I'm going to say something here, guys. Quickly, we'll get off the Rams right after this.
Yeah,
I feel the Rams have been a little bit overhyped as well. The last 5 games that they won have not been against significantly powerful teams by any means, and they've got a really tough schedule. I think they have the second or third toughest schedule down the stretch here. They got to play the Niners twice, which is probably their only easy teams, and actually the Jags, sorry. But they've got to play the Packers, they've got to play the Seahawks, the Ravens, the Vikings. They got teams that can play. So it might be tough for them down the stretch, and they've got to keep up to Arizona now.
Yeah, well, look, Arizona's going to win the bye, which means that they're just playing for wild cards, so they just need to get better every week. But let's go to the main event for some people that are watching. About 19 people in Oklahoma have waited about an hour for us to talk about this, which is the college football playoff. And I'm just going to start off by saying Michigan State got punched in the mouth. I feel like I took it absolutely in stride. Liam and Chad can both attest to that. I took that thing in fucking stride. I did not act like a bitch. I knew right away that our pass defense could not hold up against whatever they were doing. And the bigger concern, so I guess I should put this out in the universe, because I did say it to Chad, and I think I said it to Liam. I actually didn't want Michigan State to be in the playoff, not because I don't want them to make the playoff, but I would rather them go and win the Rose Bowl than get crushed in the college football playoff. And that's just me as a realist. I would rather the last game of the year be a win than go play Alabama and get murdered. But
So there's no Michigan State team that showed up this year that you think that could compete with anybody in the real college playoff?
if they played a Big 12 team, they'd probably be fine because neither team has any pass defense. But right now, like Michigan State can score, and they can stop the run, and they generate sacks throughout. But there's still a chance that they get in. There's still the game looming against Ohio State. They still have a Penn State game, Big Ten championship that could boost them in. But at this point, we're playing for the Rose Bowl. Bigger concerns for the weekend. I think teams that are probably thinking in a different way than I am. Alabama and Cincinnati both struggled to the wins that they got. Obviously, the Cincinnati one's far more concerning for everybody. Alabama losing or only winning by 6 points against LSU, not a big deal. But when you struggle and basically it takes a mistake by the other team to win in your Cincinnati, that's horrible, man. There is, I say this, there is no chance that Cincinnati makes the playoff. 0%. I'm putting it at 0%. Even though they're undefeated, I'm willing to cut them out of my rankings right now.
What a final game. Sorry,
go ahead, Caleb. As I say, I'm right with you. Cincinnati, like I said, they're undefeated. That's great. They beat Notre Dame. That sucks for me. But outside of that, like, me and Shane have had this talk numerous times about it. Like, I don't think Notre Dame is as good as what they thought they were. And that's their only meaningful win. And that's what I brought it up last week, too. And then this week they played Tulsa, and they barely beat them. They came down a little goal line fuck-up is more or less what happened. Yeah. That game could have went to overtime and went either way. The week before, they played Tulane and didn't beat them up. And like we said earlier, style points don't matter in the NFL. Well, they do matter in college football. When you're playing a bunch of slapdicks and you're not just walking all the way through them, there's no reason that you should be ranked with these top teams in major conferences. And I'm the same boat with Oregon. I don't think the Pac-12 is worth anything. I don't think they should be as high as they are. And I think there should be 2 SEC teams there. And it's one thing I don't like because I don't want to see 2 SEC teams there. But unfortunately, I think 2 of the 4 best teams in the country are in that conference. And I do think Oklahoma should be there, just being a Power 5 team, being undefeated. As long as they're on the table, they're in the same kind of boat as what these other schools were in. If you don't run the table, you're not going to get it.
It's going to be the red battle, and it should be the red battle for the college football playoff, which all the teams have a base color of red in their uniforms. And we're not talking about Cincinnati here. So we're talking Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State. Right now, those are the 4 teams that we would want to see go head-to-head with each other. I get it would take a convincing argument to talk me out of something like that. I guess you would want to see like a team like Oregon because they are loaded with guys that are going to be in the NFL in the next year. But they're playing against shit talent. They're going to play in a shitty conference game. There's no possible way that if Oklahoma runs the table and wins the Big 12 championship, you can convince me that Oregon should get in over them. No chance. Like, not happening.
I think the only way that Oregon gets in is if Ohio State doesn't win the Big Ten championship.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's the only way I see Oregon getting in. No one's going to respect the Pac-12 to give them enough love to get in there. The loss they had to Stanford just sets them back so far.
Yeah, they've had like the best ranked offensive line for like 3 straight years in like the entire country. Like I think that's what really if they actually make it to a playoff, like their offensive line can compete with the pass rushers that they may face in a playoff. I wouldn't be upset at all seeing Oregon in a playoff game, man. That would be really exciting. But I want to touch base quickly on LSU's coach. We know he's gone at the end of this year. Do you think that is he done, or is he going to go and coach somewhere else? Because I don't often cheer against Alabama. There came a point in that game when I began cheering for LSU, and I would never normally do that. But Coach Otis had me by the heartstrings a little bit there.
He's going to find a job. It's that simple.
Yeah,
no one cares.
Don't feel that bad for him. He's doing it right, eh?
Yeah, like going back to the Oregon thing, with my whole thing, like obviously this is me being a homer. How are you ranked ahead of Notre Dame, who lost to an undefeated Cincinnati team, and you lost to Stanford? Like, show your work. It's that simple.
Yeah. Like I said to you guys before before last week, I fully believed that the rankings were going to be set up for teams to be able to elevate themselves through better wins. And Baylor losing to TCU is definitely not going to help the strength of schedule for Oklahoma to get themselves back into the dance here. But when it's all said and done, I think that winning the Big Ten is more significant than winning the Big 12 or the Pac-12. So even with a head-to-head matchup, Oregon winning, I think that still goes to Ohio State. And it's going to take a little bit of work to get Oklahoma in this thing, but it might be Georgia beating Alabama in an SEC championship game that gets a team like Oklahoma thrust up there. And we're going to find out where they rank it all tomorrow and how it all shakes out. But don't close the door on that Notre Dame team either.
It's going to be really tough with not having any ranked teams to play against. Like you mentioned, Baylor not being their strength of schedule being weaker now after their loss this past weekend. Oklahoma's really this. I hope they get in. Let's rep the Big 12. I'm never going to say that again about for Oklahoma. So Kelly, I hope you like it.
Well, I mean, they're going to play against Oklahoma State, and I mean that's going to be the best game that they have. Big 12 championship game is going to be important, but it's really going to come down to who they actually play against. But Oklahoma needs some help to get in, whereas I think Ohio State, they just went out, and I think that they're in good shape.
Yeah, they're winning on laurels right now for sure.
Yeah, but we'll see how that all plays out. I mean, I was really looking forward to playing Ohio State undefeated and just like that potentially being our only loss, but gotta do what you gotta do. Purdue outplayed them. The refs were horrible, but again, not the reason they lost. So I'm not a Michigan fan, so I don't blame losses on the refs.
Yeah,
Always gotta take shots.
I see.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts, boys, because we got about 2 minutes here. Then we're gonna kick off. We got a little color rush going on. I'm not sure how many the Steelers are gonna win by, if it's 50 or 60 points, but
listen, I think you guys are gonna win this game for sure. TJ Watt is gonna have a heyday.
Yeah, and let's let TJ Watt do his talking on the field, and let's maybe focus on Jordan Love for a second, because I'm curious on how you guys feel the Jordan Love opening start went.
I think I had this conversation with the guy at my work today. He's a Green Bay Packers fan, and he's very anti-Rodgers right now. And I just kept sending him messages on our work app saying "Free Rodgers" just to get him going today. He blamed Mason Crosby for the loss. I think it's absolutely embarrassing. And if you're a Packers fan, if you're blaming a kicker for how you lost a football game, that's ridiculous. You scored one. You got 7 points. And if you think 13 points is going to win you a football game, you're an idiot as well. It's that simple. It showed how valuable Aaron Rodgers is. Devontae Adams, he didn't even get double teamed. Want to know why? Because Jordan Love sucks. It's that simple.
If Aaron Rodgers starts that game, that's the Packers by 20?
Easily.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have to double team the best receiver in football because the quarterback's that bad, it proves right away how valuable Aaron Rodgers is. So people are saying everybody in Wisconsin hates him. Yeah, they hate him this week.
Yeah.
Do you know when they're going to love him? Next week when he's back on the field, because they just watched Jordan Love play football. And they realized, we probably should have drafted that guy in the first round.
We're going to have a not practiced Aaron Rodgers versus a hand surgery Russell Wilson. But we're still going to tune in and watch that one. And I guess final thought, the Saints defense was not man enough to hang with the Falcons. And I think Trevor Siemian did everything that he could to win the game. And the Saints defense let him down. And Cordell Patterson, I'm not even sure what to call that guy, but an offensive weapon.
He is like it's like they figured a way how Reggie Bush and Percy Harvin were supposed to be used properly. It's just 10 years too late.
Right.
And he's like
that's the only way I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's just the best athlete in the field. And it's like, how do we just put you in space?
Right, exactly. Well, you guys got a final thought before I take off for kickoff here?
My only final thought that I want to think about is this actually Aaron Rodgers' last dance in Green Bay? is him now not playing this game show the Green Bay Packers how important he is? Because I would have said yes or no in the past, but Tom Brady leaving New England, I think, has opened the door for an old timer who's been in one team forever and done magnificent things there to leave and go to another team that he wants to go to. And maybe the
Yep.
Niners are there, guys.
Well, I mean, we'll see how that goes. But Chad, what do you got? You got a final thought?
Final thought is free Rodgers and let him do his thing.
Perfect. Well, as always, guys, make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube and checking out the Twitch page. Kaylin's got some challengers, so that's going to start happening. Kickoff just happened. Sorry, I was distracted. Check out the Facebook and Instagram. We definitely got some articles going up this week. And we have a bit of a surprise for you guys on Thursday, so definitely make sure you tune into that.